Hello, everybody. This is an episode about religion and culture. Heaven without God. How China built a political religion without a church. Religion doesn't always arrive wearing a cross. Sometimes it arrives as a calendar. Sometimes it arrives as an exam. Sometimes it arrives as a history textbook. It arrives as a map with your civilization politely drawn in the middle of the universe. Arrives as a government document with the emotional warmth of a refrigerator, but the spiritual confidence of a cathedral. It's a strange genius of China. China did not build a powerful church standing beside the state. It built something more subtle, a sacred state. No pope, no Sunday service, no independent priesthood, no clear wall between altar and throne. Instead, the sacred entered the calendar, the bureaucracy, the classics, the exam hall, the family, the ritual, the history book, and the idea of all under heaven. In the West, religion often had a building. In China, religion became an operating system. And the most powerful operating system is the one you forgot is running. You often ask the wrong question about China. Is China religious or secular? The question assumes religion looks like Christianity, a church, a creed, a priest, a Bible, a soul standing before God. A Sunday morning where people dress nicely, sing hymns, and try very hard not to judge each other until lunch. But China often worked differently. Chinese political religion was not mainly asking, what do you believe? It asked, do you know your place? Are you standing where a son should stand, where a minister should stand, an elder should stand, a ruler should stand, where the center is, where the margins are, where civilization ends and disorder begins? This is why China can look secular and religious at the same time. A person doesn't need to believe in a church doctrine to live inside a sacred order. He only has to move correctly, bow correctly, speak correctly, study the right text, honor the right ancestors, accept the right history, recognize the right center. Christianity often asks, what do you believe? Chinese political religion often asks, are you properly placed? It's not less religion, it's religion translated into posture. Religion gives the word meaning. Politics give the meaning an address. Religion creates sacred time. Politics tell you whose era you are living in. Religion creates sacred texts. Politics decides which classics make you civilized. Religion creates ritual. Politics teach the body when to kneel, when to stand, when to be silent, and how to make obedience look elegant. Religion creates a moral universe. Politics draw the universe on a map and calls it all under heaven. It's not simple atheism. It's not simple secularism. It's not just tradition. It's a state absorbing religious functions without calling itself a church. That's harder to see. If a priest tell you to obey, you know religion is speaking. But if calendar, a textbook, an exam, a family dinner, a national map tell you the same thing, it just feels like reality. It's the brilliance of a churchless religion. It doesn't need to convert you. It raises you. Chinese heaven is not the same as the Christian God. It's not a simple personal God who creates the universe, gives commandments, hear prayers, judge souls, forgive sins, and occasionally seems very disappointed in humanity's group project. Heaven in China is older, quieter, wider, and more ambiguous. It's cosmic order, moral atmosphere, historical legitimacy, a a sky above politics, but often without a clear independent voice. God speaks, heaven indicates, God commands, heaven authorizes, God judges the soul. Heaven gives the dynasty weather problem and let his historians connect the dots later. The difference matter because a personal God can stand outside power and say no, but heaven is easier for power to interpret. Heaven is high enough to make power sacred, but vague enough for power to borrow. That's why heaven is politically brilliant. It doesn't have to be too specific. Specific gods are dangerous. They might say inconvenient things. Heaven is more elegant. Heaven was legitimacy with clouds. This is why the emperor's title matters. Son of heaven, not chief executive's office of green taxes and occasional border problem, not regional manager of East Asian stability. Son of heaven. This is not just a title, it's cosmic branding. The ruler is not merely strong, he related to the moral structure of the universe. He stands between heaven and earth. He doesn't simply govern people, he harmonizes the world. Modern corporations spend millions trying to sound meaningful. Asian monarchies simply said, "My father is the sky." Hard to beat, but notice the move. The emperor is below heaven, so he appears humble, but he is above everyone else. So his humility still makes him supreme. He doesn't own heaven, but he owns the public relationship with heaven. This is the genius of the sacred state. Power bows upward, then collects obedience downward. The calendar is something that sounds boring, but is actually explosive. The calendar is one of the most underrated political weapons in history, because whoever controls time controls how reality is counted. A new dynasty did not only take land, it renamed time, it issued new reign titles, it reset official years. It told people, you're not living in a old world anymore. You're living in our time now. It's not paperwork, it's theology disguised as scheduling. A calendar say, when does the year begin? Which days matters? Which rituals must happen? Whose reign names the present? What is remembered? What is forgotten? The calendar is not neutral. Its sovereignty pretending to be practical. It's not only China. Christian Europe had a sacred time: Christmas, Easter, Lent, Sunday. The year was shaped by the life of Christ. Modern nations also create sacred time: Independence Day, Memorial Day, Revolution Day. In America, July 4th is not just a date, it's a national liturgy with flags, fireworks, grilled meat, and enough patriotic feeling to make about a bald eagle. Let me check.
Bald.
A bald eagle file taxes. Every region wants time, because time is obedience you don't notice. The best power doesn't shout, it schedules. In China, time often flows through political legitimacy. To write the year was to locate yourself inside a ruling order. The emperor's reign became the frame of ordinary life. You wrote a date and the throne quietly entered your hand. It's deeper than propaganda. Propaganda tells you what to think. A sacred calendar tells you when you exist. And once power controls a calendar, power is no longer only in the palace. It's in the day, the month, the ritual season, the cry, the memory of when things happen. That's what political religion does. It doesn't merely demand worship. It organizes reality before you notice you're inside it. Now move from time to space. The Chinese idea of Tianxia, all under heaven. was not simply geography, it was morality drawn as a map. There is a center, there are margins. There is civilization, there are people to be transformed by civilization. There is order near the center, there is disorder at the edge. It's not just Chinese. Every civilization attempted to join itself at the center, called the joint truth. Rome did it. Christendom did it. The British Empire did it while stealing half the world and somehow still acting surprised when people complained. America did it when it says a free world, as if freedom has a passport office in Washington, D.C. Civilization love maps because maps looks objective. A map say I'm just showing reality, but often a map is a sermon with borders. It tells you where meaning lives. Who is central, who is peripheral, who needs civilizing, who needs saving, who's threatening order. That's why 天下 matter. It's not just an Asian political concept, it's spiritual geography. It makes political space feel morally arranged, and once your civilization becomes the moral center of the space, politics becomes more than administration. It becomes cosmic architecture. Then comes one of the most important characters in Chinese history, the scholar official. In the West, sacred authority often belonged to priests, bishops, monks, and theologians. They handle scripture, doctrine, ritual, salvation, heresy, sacred knowledge. China had Buddhists, monks, and Taoist priests, of course, but the core political sacred order relied on another figure, the scholar official. He was not a priest in a Christian sense. He did not offer communication. He did not hear confession. He did not promise heaven. He promised memorials, taxes, moral essays, and possibly a soul-destroying amount of calligraphy. But functionally, he did something priestly. He guarded orthodoxy. He interpreted canon. He performed ritual. He wrote history. He educated the people. He turned ancient texts into political language. He made the state feel moral. He was not a priest of God. He was a priest of order, with better handwriting. This is why the civil service examination was never just a hiring system. It was an ordination process for the sacred bureaucracy. You did not simply prove you were smart. You proved your mind had been formatted by the right text. You proved you could speak civilization's official language. You proved you could enter power without sounding like the barbarian with opinions. The exam hall was not just a classroom. It was a temple of legitimacy with bad ventilation. In Christianity, a priest studies theology to speak about God. In Emperor China, scholars mastered the classics to speak inside order. The Chinese classics were not the Bible. The comparison is too simple, but they did function as canon. A canon is not just a list of books. A canon tells of civilization what counts as serious speech, what counts as personality, what counts as cultivated thought, what kind of argument can enter power, what kind of memory counts as civilization. To master the classics was not just to read old books, it was to receive the grammar of legitimacy. The classics were not scripture in the Christian sense. They were the entrance exam to sacred order. No baptism, just ink. Lots of ink. Enough ink to drown a childhood. This is where the system becomes powerful. A church with walls can be left. You can't stop going, you can convert, you can split into another denomination. Because apparently Christianity looked at one church and say, nice, but what if we had 40,000 versions? But a sacred order without all walls is harder to live. Because where do you live? The calendar, the family, the exam, the language, the map, the funeral ritual, the idea of being a proper person. When religion is in a building, living means walking out. When religion is in common sense, living means becoming strange. This is why churchless religion is so strong. It doesn't say believe this spectrum. It says this is just how civilized people behave. The sentence is more powerful than a sermon. Because the sermon sounds religious, but no more sounds reality. This is also why Chinese political religion do not always require inner belief. It requires participation. You may not believe deeply, but you still perform. You bow, you marry properly, you bury properly, you speak properly, you respect hierarchy, you study approved text, you recognize the center, you call the official memory history, you call the social order civilization. It's enough. The sacred state doesn't need your soul to be enthusiastic. You only need your body to cooperate. It's not unique to China. Modern life works the same way. You don't have to believe in capitalism. You just have to pay rent. You don't have to believe in algorithm. You just have to feed it content. You don't have to believe in corporate values. You just have to attend the meeting where everyone sees authenticity like a hostage. Participation is often stronger than belief. Because belief can argue, participation becomes habit, and habit becomes destiny. This is where the West should stop feeling superior. Because the West is also building churchless religions, traditional church may decline, but liturgy returns. Flags, anthems, founding fathers, sacred documents, public apologies, political purity tests, corporate mission statements, university statements, hashtags, community guidelines, national myths. The phrase the right side of history, which is basically secular heaven with a marketing department. Modern people say I'm not religious. Then they treat politics like salvation, identity like compassion, brands like moral personality, algorithm like fate, public opinion like judgment day, follower like blessing, cancellation like excommunication, self-optimization like sanctification, and sacred language like a confession rules with better furniture. This doesn't mean all of it is fake. Justice matters, rights matter, therapy can help, community matter, but the function is religious. Decreasing sinners, heresies, purity test, confession, sacred symbol, forbidden speech, promises of redemption. That is churchless religion, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The Chinese society is a mirror. It shows the West a truth it often forgets. Religion doesn't disappear when churches decline, immigrate into politics, nationalism, education, family, markets, platform, and the grammar of no more life. The sacred always returns. The question is, who is doing religion's job? Who gives meaning? Who defines purity? Who names the center? Who controls time? Who writes history? Who teach your body how to bow? Who tell you what kind of person counts? The answer is not church. If the answer is not church, don't assume the answer is nothing. It may be the state, the market, the nation, the algorithm, the family, the public opinion. It may be your own endless project that becoming impressive. Human beings don't live without sacred orders. We only pretend some of them are secular. What was China's great invention? No atheism, not simple secularism. not just imperial control. China built a political religion without a church. A sacred order where heaven gave legitimacy, classics gave language, exam produced priests, calendar gave time, history gave judgment, ritual gave culture, family gave emotional enforcement, and the state held all things together. It was elegant, durable, brilliant. It could create continuity across centuries. It could make civilization feel older than any ruler. It could make a scholar in a tiny room feel connected to cosmic orders through a barrage, a text, and a terrifying Zen schedule. But it also had a cost. When sacred order is everywhere, freedom becomes hard to locate. If the church is building, you can live. If the church is calendar, exam, family, map, ritual, bureaucracy, and definition of civilization itself, then living begins to look like menace. That's the danger of churchless religion. It doesn't convert you, it raises you. It doesn't demand belief. It manufactures normality. It doesn't need a Sunday service. Every day is a service. Many people today think they are free because they don't belong to a church, but they belong to a calendar, a feed, a market, a nation, a brand, a political tribe, a family script, a performance system, a technology that knows their designs before they have language for them. They have left the church, but not the altar. The altar simply moved. Sometimes it's a flag, screen, resume, identity. It's a nation saying bow but calling belonging. Sometimes the market saying sacrifice but calling ambition. Sometimes it's a platform saying confess but calling engagement. Sometimes it's a family saying obey but calling love. China shows one of the oldest truths about human beings. We don't live without sacred orders. We often only pretend some of them are secular. The question is, what has become sacred without admitting it? Who owns your time? Who writes your memory? Who defines your goodness? Who teaches your body how to go? Who tell you where you belong? And what happens when you refuse? This is how you identify a religion, not by asking whether it is a church, but by asking what it punishes as heresy. China's churchless religion punish disorder, modern political tribes punish impurity, markets punish uselessness, platform punish invisibility, family punish shame. Every sacred order has its hill, and every hill reveals its God. The most powerful religion is that one that no longer has to call itself religion.